I am now, also at the behest of my beloved family, am shifting more and more of my attention from the pro bono reality to the pro pecunio reality. Now, I'm going to do one more course for everybody pro bono. One more course. And I'm inviting everyone that is able and willing to participate in it. This will be a special gift as I say goodbye to this phase of the work. And hello to another phase that includes the individual's hands that you see. What you just heard me do is something, as I said before coming online, that is so extraordinary in our time now because we have the capacity to acquire knowledge that has been hidden, not as a curiosity, but as a very different form of intelligence. The individuals whose hands are up have already begun to acquire Hebrew, Greek, and Latin simultaneously with my guidance. And it's not hard to do because the focus is not on the languages as such. The focus is on intelligence. For those of you, beloved, who did not, for whatever reason, hear what I was saying in August, October, and January, I want to encourage you to pay very close attention to this final pro bono course and take full advantage of what my family is going to offer, because when I teach, my family teaches. Do you all hear what I'm saying? I have not taught for free. I've taught pro bono. Why, Dr. Coleman? Because our people deserve better than what we have been told. We deserve better than what has been withheld. We deserve to know the core of knowledge and how accessible it is for those who simply know how to find it. This gift of 14 years with me has come through my family because that's where this came from. It got enhanced, it got cultivated in a certain way through various matriculations. But it didn't begin there. It became a thing. Same thing is true for you. That's the other part about modeling. What I've tried to do more than anything else in these so-called free courses, they're not free, beloved. How much are they an hour? Somebody put it in the chat. That's right. Every single one of them. Why? That's the value that I have placed upon them. And two, that's the way I've showed up. I've showed up teaching like liberation matters. Write that down. I've showed up like liberation matters. Liberation means something. But liberation is something you got to go and get. It won't be given to you. You got to go get it. And all those nights, all those days in the libraries, in graduate school, walking up and down Holy Hill to Berkeley campus, studying, reading, writing, crying, laughing, delirious, etc. I went and got it. I went and got it. And I brought it back here. That's what these 14 years been about. Got those recordings? I hope you listen to them. I hope you review them. And more than that, I hope you will apply them. Again, not because of me, but because of my family. My daughters are brought on here now. Ashton Beyond, Bernice, Oshun, Nisha, Toya. That's the future. That's the other reason. In order for my babies to take care of me in the future, I got to give them something to take care of me with. Did you all hear that?
Yes.
In order for my babies to take care of me, I know y'all love me, but y'all ain't going to take care of me the same way. Nor should you. I come from a family that believes in intergenerational caretaking. That's why my parents are 93 and 91 today, looking at the eclipse, because somebody, my baby's sister, went and took them some glass. To be with you in this phase. Family matters. Number one, first, middle, and always. Family matters. From October to December, whatever it is, get that healed. Get it healed. Get it healed. Because that's where your power is. It's not in the sky up there in the sun. It's in your DNA. It's in your DNA. I want to say one other thing too, and then I'm going to ask some of the people who are in the Bible and Meditation Revival course curriculum to testify. It's that altar now. I asked you to put money on that altar for a reason. Again, that comes from my family tradition of hoodoo monetary consciousness. And I said at one point, what your subconscious says you do, that's what it believes you value. And how you do it is also telling the subconscious how much you value what you are receiving and what you intend to give. It's a law. That last slide, Think and Grow Rich, that you saw, that pertains to that. That liberated me. At the end of a conveyor belt, picking up 50-pound boxes at a 10-end job until I digested that, until I ate that scroll like Ezekiel and John, put it that way. For the next 3, 4, 5 weeks or so, I'm going to offer this pro bono course. After that, I'll be working with these people who hand you see lifted up. Diligently. Intensely. Because they made a commitment. So do I. Because they heard, so I speak. In the future, beyond this final pro bono course, my family will offer other classes, courses, workshops, seminars, retreats, shut-ins. I got your email address. Be on the lookout. I'll be working very closely with them, particularly the ones I showed you, as they increasingly manage me. Beloved, y'all hear what I'm saying? As they do what? As they increasingly manage me. Because they're going to take care of me. And in order for them to take care of me, as they say, I love them. They just like the daddy. And the mama took it to daddy. I got to give them something to take care of me with. Now, those of you with your hands up, would you put them down just for a moment so I can make a distinction? I want some of you who have already been with me for the past, now going on 3 weeks, that's right, beloved, we've been meeting for 3 weeks already, to just share, just raise your hand and share with your other brothers and sisters, what have you begun to acquire so far? Raise your hand in the chat and I'll call on you. I want others to hear. I'm saying it's not, let me just say it this way. Tell them how extraordinary your discovery is already about how profound and yet simple it is to become genius. I see your hand. Marco, go ahead and speak, please. Yeah, you had a particular experience. Thank you. You had to give your testimony because you had a particular experience that you do that. I remember now. Go ahead.
All right. Greetings, all. I have found, well, I was nervous at first because I didn't know anything about Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. So for me, this was a step of courage and a step of faith. And in the class, Baba told us to read over, not so much read over, but to listen to him pronounce the words, and then we should pronounce the words and get comfortable with them. So I've read Genesis 1 through 5 in the Hebrew. And first thing that I noticed was that it seemed like my native tongue. It was very easy for me to pronounce the words, even though I had never been introduced to Hebrew before. And as I was listening to chapter 2 of Genesis, I went into a trance. And I felt like I was cracked open like a walnut. And the Spirit of God descended and walked between those two parts of the walnut and said to me, "You are here, walk in it." And I began to hear and feel like I was being baptized, the rushing of the waters, like from the ocean, ebbing and flowing over my body. And I began to weep uncontrollably. And the Spirit calmed me, and I just went into a very relaxed sleep. When I explained it to Baba, because I was so excited, he told me that I'm a Hebrew. And that caused me to weep as well, because let me see, how long ago has it been? Back in 2005, I wanted to change my name. Out of respect for my mother and my grandmother, I didn't change my name before then, but my mom passed away and my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and I wanted to change my name. So I asked Spirit, I was like, okay, I want to change my name. I want my name to have a spiritual meaning. And back then, I had an accounting office down in Miami-Dade County. And all of a sudden, from nowhere, all of these Igbos from Nigeria began to come into my practice. So I sat down and I spoke to one of the gentlemen and I asked them, questions about their names and where they came from. And they told me that Igbos are Hebrews. So my name is, I was adopted by the tribe. I had a naming ceremony just like a child. And my name is an Igbo Hebrew name. So now I'm in tears. Mm. So Spirit had been talking to me prior to this, but Baba's acknowledgement was like the crowning glory for me. So I've experienced a lot and I've been really blessed. And I thank God for you, Baba.
So let me just add one little piece to that, too. I said to you, welcome home.
Yes, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
So
And to add to that as well, when I went to Nigeria, because I wanted to know the roots of the Igbo people, I was introduced, well, the night before I was supposed to go and meet the king, I had a dream. It was a vision. And I could see the elders all around my bed. And they said to me, "Welcome home, daughter of the soil." And I'm like, I didn't understand. So when I went to see the king, those were his exact words: "Welcome home, daughter of the soil." So this has been a real important, real epic journey for me. And I'm grateful for it.
Batadama, Bathadama, daughter of the earth, Bathada Adama. So let me tell you about the experience I had. Then I want to move on to another touch point. Hebrew is such a powerful, impactful language. It has been for me too. The Bible has been. I've always been. Grew up in a family where the Bible was central. Not in the fundamentalism, but central. It was used as a talisman. On one occasion, I think it might have been more than 15 years ago now, I was at a Friday evening Shabbat with a group of other Kabbalists. And I began to tell them what I taught and how I taught Kabbalah from an Afrocentric perspective. And I told them about the experience I had when I was 5 years old, the first day in school, when the teacher was showing us how to write our alphabets. And I wrote my alphabets with my southpaw and from right to left. Wrote them as I saw on the board, but from right to left. The teacher became so frustrated, she told my parents to change the way I was writing. When I told the other Kabbalists this, they said, one said this, "Of course." He said, "You were trying to remember. It is known that the Igbos of West Africa are Hebrews." And they went around the table talking about the different experiences and connections between African dialects and Hebrew. And then finally they did this. There were 12 of us. They lifted up their glasses and they pointed them towards me. They said, "Rabbi, L'chaim, my teacher, life. If you don't know who you are, no one can tell you how to be who you are." Now, this is just an example. It's not the only example. This is what I really covet, is that the multi-dimensional intelligences available in these three particular dialects will crack everyone open. My relationship to, or what has become my relationship to Kabbalah and the Bible, I can step into a world. It's like a hologram for me. It is like remembering past lives. Someone else raise your hand. Again, for those of you who don't know, so far we've gone through the first chapter of Genesis, that first episode, chapter 1 through chapter 2, 4, 8. Now let me pause for a moment. The reason I keep saying this is because when you are aware of Hebrew, you know that they're written by two different authors. A, because the name of the deity changes between verse 2A and 2B of verse 4. Also, There's a reversal in creation from heaven to earth to earth to heaven. But you can't see it in, I repeat, the English. Anyone else would like to speak? Don't be shy. Now, let me speak to that too, because I said this. When you are acquiring new forms of intelligence, there's a sensor in your head. That sensor is saying this: you can't do this. This is too complicated. You don't understand what you're reading, because the sensor is trying to get you to come back to the enslavement of English. Be a child. Be a child. Children don't care. They just do it. Well, I'll call some names. Quran, speak.
Well, my experience of the 2 classes that we've had or so has been that in those 2 hours, there's an amazing amount of information that has really made a big difference in my life. In terms of the languages, listening to the languages, because we've been working with Latin a little bit in the past, a lot more of the Latin's making sense, and it feels like I understand it. The Hebrew, not so much, but the Greek, I love. And just hearing it, the way it rolls, the way it sounds, and then looking at what it's saying, it just feels good. And I think the emphasis on not how much we understand, but how the different languages make us feel has made a real difference in terms of how I feel about the class. Because I was a little, it was a little trepidation there at the beginning, but it feels much more comfortable now, and so I'm very, very grateful to be there.
So this is, thank you for that too. So let me just say this about everything I've taught for 14 years. You already know what you acquire are skills of reframing what you know. So that it will be useful, pragmatic, and effective. And not just effective, but more effective for you. You already know these 3 languages. There's just a few sounds you may not know yet. But you know these sounds. Sound, image, symbol, syntax. You don't know the syntax yet. And actually, that does not matter at this juncture. What matters is that you allow your mind to roam. You allow your mind to explore. You allow your feelings to soar with the power of these sounds. And you allow yourself to tap into thousands of years and billions of others who have made these sounds. And through making these sounds, have created and recreated themselves and have created and built institutions. That's, I see. Geneva, go ahead and speak.
Yes, thank you, Baba. Greetings, everyone. One of the things that I noticed for me is that my logical mind has toned down. And it was actually a fight because after listening to him, I wanted to try to understand it and what I was hearing. So it was really a battle with my mind to just allow it to listen without trying to figure out. So that to me was like self mastery, kind of control of that mind. And then with that, allow just my brain to reconnect in areas that was disjointed. And so now I can listen to it and be caught up in the energetic of the sound. And when I wake up in the morning, especially this morning, I can just feel my body just reverberating because I fall asleep with it. If I wake up, then I'll turn it back on and then fall asleep with it. So now sensing that my body is being encoded with the sounds that I'm hearing. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
So yes, and this again is why this phase is important. Brother Brown, I'm gonna come back to you. I want to talk to some more people who are in the cohort to speak. You see, when we talk about cultivating intuition, that's another super conscious part of ourselves. The part that's analytical and rational in its own way is binding. It's binding you to a certain way of thinking and being. It's binding you to, see, the syntax of it is binding your imagination. You're trying to figure it out. Well, if you begin to speak and think in another way that's not connected to the binding structure, you expand everything that you're doing. And correspondingly, it expands you. And that's just like rewiring your neurons. And that process of rewiring your neurons is that which allows you to tap into the genie. The Kabbalah, to receive. To receive what? To receive profound, intuitive, unlimited knowledge that you already have, to exercise, becoming Ein Sof, or the unlimited light or consciousness. That's what it is. And that's why I want you all to just give impressions, not well prepared. No, what is the impression? Speak. I see you, Sharon. Go ahead.
I'm trying. Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted, yes.
Oh, okay. What I wanted to say was from a more practical point of view. What I've noticed is that I don't know where everybody lives, but when you're in the public places now, we're beginning to have more than one language all the time because they're beginning to speak in Spanish and things like that that never has occurred. I mean, over the loudspeaker or whatever you call it in the stores and different things, and the televisions and the communication system. And in the past, I have to admit, it maybe sort of annoyed me. But since I've been taking this class, not this one, and being introduced to these concepts and principles of language, I began to, like you say, listen. What are they saying? Not only just to the words, but if I don't know the words, I can listen to the feelings that I'm getting. So I'm able to use it not only in our class, but in everyday living life. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. In addition to Genesis, there's another great volume called the Sefer Yetzirah. The Sefer Yetzirah, Book of Formation. As I've said before, it's a multi-dimensional, only 6-chapter treatise. I've talked about it before, of the correspondence between the macrocosm of time and space and the microcosm of Adam, Zachar, Nekeva, male and female. This is someone around the 1st century, maybe at the most the 2nd or 3rd century common era, who was speculating on if Genesis chapter 1 is describing what the Elohim did, how they created the heavens and the earth through a series of 6 cycles, then how does the human being do so? What is it within us as individuals, male and female, that gives us similar powers? And so the writer posits very strong names, very strong invocations, Yah, Yahweh, etc., Zabahot, Elohim, Chaim, Shaddai, etc. These are formulae as a way of setting a relationship between the sounds and symbols of the Hebrew alphabets in time and space, macrocosmically, that are embedded and imprinted into the human being microcosmically, which is to say that there's no part out there that isn't in us. And just as there are macrocosmic, extraordinary, creative powers through the tongue and through the reproductive parts of our being, we emulate in the image of the Elohim, not kind of sort of